Imagine a scenario when, due to a dangerous experiment, an unknown phenomenon started. Earth's space-time gets destroyed and millions of people were killed, and all the people who were dead get stuck in an infinite time loop, replaying their death every day. But people from different timelines also started appearing with them. But how did this happen? Let's see in the story. The story begins with a government facility conducting a failed experiment on the Hadron Collider, leading to a massive explosion. The aftermath of this experiment resulted in the deaths of millions of people. Now, only the projections of the deceased, also known as echoes, are visible. These echoes replay the moments before their death every day, as if time has come to a standstill for them. However, they lack the ability to affect the real world. They are short-term projections that disappear after a while. However, there is a new twist as projections of people from different timelines also begin to emerge. Now we see a girl named Veronica, a 17-year-old girl who lives with her mother, Anna. Veronica's father died in the same explosion a decade ago, and his echo still appears at home. Each morning, in the time loop, he repeats the same events before disappearing. Veronica attends class, where she learns from her professor, August, who possesses knowledge about these projections. She questions him about why the projections from 100 years ago are also shown together with people who died, pointing out that the girl seated next to them is a projection of a girl from 18th century. How people of different timeline ended up in their timeline. The professor, however, has no answer to this puzzling question. During lunch, Veronica notices Kirk, a strange boy who don't talk to anyone in college and is very strange. A classmate informs her that he is keen on unraveling the reasons of projections and was expelled from the previous college. In the evening, while Veronica was having shower at home, she unexpectedly sees another projection, someone who was never at her house. The projection writes a message on the glass, something considered impossible since projections cannot alter reality. The message reads, "Run." Overwhelmed by fear, Veronica decides to tell the professor the next day. She requests a private meeting to learn the truth. Professor August invites her to his house after class. Surprisingly, Veronica sees the professor's daughter, Eva, at his house. Eva leaves without speaking to them. Veronica shares the details of the unusual projection that appeared at her house last evening, and it said, "Run." It should have been impossible, according to the professor. Now he suggests that Veronica may have experienced an illusion. Realizing that no one would believe her, Veronica recalls Kirk, who is known for researching projections. She seeks his help and finds him in a cave surrounded by projections of fish, all of which died in the explosion. Kirk explains that he observes these fish projections every rainy season, but over the years, their numbers have been increasing. This revelation suggests that the government is hiding a lot from them. Veronica asks Kirk for assistance regarding the projection she saw last evening. Initially, Kirk, who usually keeps to himself, hesitates. However, Veronica proposes a deal. She will help him complete his college assignment in exchange for his assistance. But to know more about the projection, they need photos of it. Together, they install special spectro light cameras in Veronica's bathroom. Their plan works, and the projection reappears, allowing them to capture a photo. However, now the projection gets highly disturbed by the special light and aggressively attacks Veronica. Its face gets disfigured and was also able to hurt them physically. It vanishes again as soon as the light is turned off. Veronica, now not just emotionally frightened but physically affected, becomes anxious of him. Kirk manages to capture a photo of the projection named as Brian and look into his history to uncover shocking details. Brian, as it turns out, was a serial killer who abducted and murdered a girl named Mary. Together, Kirk and Veronica seek out Mary's mother to learn more. Mary's mother reveals that Brian had pretended to love her daughter only to kill her one day and then take his own life the following day. Over the next few days, Kirk and Veronica gather more information about Brian. They discover that Mary was killed on her birthday, which fell on February 29th, a leap year. To Veronica's astonishment, her own birthday is also on February 29th. This revelation hints at a potential connection between them. While discussing this discovery, the lights suddenly flicker, causing Veronica's diary to fall. Upon picking it up, she finds something written on it. It read, "Run." This revelation raises Veronica's fear as she wonders why Brian's projection is targeting her. The following day, the college principal summons Kirk to the office to inquire about his visit to Mary's mother. Kirk reveals that he was researching projections and exploring Brian's story alongside Veronica. The principal takes no action against him for now. However, the following day during college games, someone summons the principal to the roof, and in a shocking turn of events, he is pushed off and was killed by someone. Down below, everyone believes that the principal took his own life, maybe due to personal problems. Kirk explains to Veronica that he had disclosed everything about their research to the principal, suggesting that someone might have killed him to keep it a secret. This implies that nobody wants research on projections. Despite Kirk's explanation, Veronica remains skeptical, wondering why anyone would resort to such measures. The next morning, Veronica's mother informs her that she will be away for the next 3 days due to a job offer. Their financial situation isn't great and Veronica will have to stay alone. This news saddens Veronica, especially because her birthday is in 3 days, which only comes once every 4 years on February 29th, a leap year. This time, her mother won't be with her on her birthday. Later, when Kirk visits her house, he notices the projection of Veronica's father, a daily occurrence. However, Kirk is astonished to find that the newspaper date is from 3 years after the explosion incident. This revelation suggests that projections are also fluctuating in time between. Kirk examines the newspaper and finds news about a murder and kidnapping of 2 girls, Emma and Claire. Now Kirk starts paying attention, thinking that the projection has a message for them. Both Veronica and Kirk learn more about the research, discovering that the 2 girls who were killed shared a birthday on February 29th. They meet Claire's sister, who reveals that Claire was Brian's girlfriend and was killed in the same lab where the explosion occurred 10 years ago due to that experiment. Notably, Claire's projection remains in that lab, attracting daily visitors. Veronica and Kirk are astonished by this information and wonder about Brian and Claire's connection to the lab and whether Brian was responsible for the explosions. To uncover more, they journey to another city where the situation has worsened over time due to its proximity to the explosion. In addition to the deteriorating conditions, projections of the deceased are still present. Arriving at the lab, they witness Claire's projection repeating its time loop, revealing that she was running away before her death, unable to escape, and ultimately strangled to death. Now in the crowd, Dr. Martin, the scientist who conducted the experiment, is spotted. Surprisingly, he was believed to have died in the explosion. Veronica and Kirk manage to approach him and demand the truth about the experiment. Dr. Martin, burdened with guilt, confesses everything, revealing a major twist in the story. As it turns out, Martin and his team were attempting to understand what happens to human consciousness after death. When the bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki exploded, people near the explosion absorbed the radiation as they were getting incinerated. Their shadows were seared on the walls for all time. So he says death works like that: when we die, we leave echoes of ourself behind. These echoes can become something more. These echoes can become doorways connecting the living and the dead. His research was to understand these doorways and ultimately to create a doorway between life and death and vice versa. They brought patience. To the brink of death and back, they used a living person as a vessel to resurrect the dead by putting the soul of dead in the body of living person. Unfortunately, the closer they got, the more dangerous it became. Instead of building the doorway, they tore a massive hole. Dr. Martin tells Veronica that Brian, who used to be on their team, changed after his girlfriend Claire was murdered. He thinks Brian was the one who killed Claire. And now Brian, in an attempt to bring Claire back to life, is using a process called spectral transference, where he tries to transfer her soul into someone else's body. Veronica questions this, pointing out that Brian is dead and ghosts can't harm anyone. Dr. Martin disagrees, stating that all laws are lies. They can alter it if they collect necessary matter from space-time, allowing him to alter reality, and Brian might already done it. He explains that spectral transference only works if the person being used as a vessel shares a birthday with the deceased. Brian is now targeting people who share the same birthday as Claire, which is on February 29th, hoping to resurrect her. Dr. Martin reveals that Brian's next target is Veronica. The existence echoes from different timelines is because they share the same birthday as those who died in the explosions. Kirk takes photos of the scientists who worked on the experiment with Martin. Before going further, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Dr. Martin commits suicide, unable to carry on his guilt. Now, both of them return to their college from this place, where they had to rescue Veronica from a life-threatening situation on her birthday. Upon their return, they discover that the police have arrived at the college and are arresting Kirk for possessing a gun. Concerned for Kirk, Veronica seeks help from Professor August, who informs her that Kirk's gun has a troubling history leading to his expulsion from the previous college. The professor warns Veronica to steer clear of Kirk as he is considered dangerous. This revelation makes Veronica skeptical of Kirk, prompting her to decide to keep her distance from him. Despite this, Veronica faces a significant problem because tomorrow is February 29th, her birthday. Since her mom has gone out for a job, there won't be anyone to protect her if Brian attempts to harm her. To address this concern, the professor offers a solution. They collaborate to create a special laser light room at the professor's house where no projections or potentially harmful entities could enter. Once the room is ready, Veronica plans to spend the entire day locked inside, ensuring Brian cannot harm her. On the other hand, when Veronica's mother arrives for her job interview, she discovers that there was no job offer for her. It seems someone might have deliberately called her there to keep her away from home. In the evening, Kirk, after escaping from police, tries to talk with Veronica. However, Veronica doesn't want to talk with him. Kirk attempts to explain that it's strange. First, he told the principal about their research and then the principal died. Now after they returned, someone reported him to the police. This suggests there's someone behind them. But Veronica isn't ready to believe it yet. She asks Kirk to leave her alone. Veronica meets with the professor and begins finishing the remaining work in her special room. This room is where she plans to lock herself at midnight. Meanwhile, Kirk investigates a team photo of the scientists in the lab and makes a shocking discovery. This revelation leads to the biggest twist in the story. The scientists who conducted the experiment that day included not only Martin and Brian but also their college professor, August. Kirk realizes that the professor has a significant plan. Veronica, unaware of Kirk's findings, stays at the professor's house. Kirk tries to call her, but there's no signal in the special room. So, Kirk runs towards the professor's house. Upon reaching there, he sees the professor's daughter, Eva, wandering around. It becomes evident that Eva is also a projection. On the day of the experiment, Eva was in the lab, and despite the professor's efforts, she couldn't be saved from the blast. After that tragedy, the professor decided to find a girl born on his daughter's birthday that is also 29th February. So in the attempts to bring his daughter Eva back to life, he kidnapped several girls born on February 29th, including Claire. Unfortunately, all his experiments failed, leading to the deaths of these girls, including Claire. He falsely accuses Brian of murdering the 3 girls, so that's why Brian had been warning Veronica about the professor's intentions since the beginning of the story, repeatedly writing "run." And he was innocent all along. After the explosion, August changes his name and becomes a college professor, a role that allows him access to details about thousands of students and their birth dates. This enables him to experiment on girls born on February 29th. Upon discovering Veronica's birth date, he meticulously executes his plan. He sends Veronica's mother out of the city on her birthday, claiming it's for a job, and places a gun in Kirk's locker. August then calls the police on himself, aiming to divert attention from Veronica. When the principal learns the truth about August, he took matters into his own hands, causing his death by pushing him off the roof. Outside August's house, Kirk calls the police. However, August attacks Kirk and begins burying him in the grave intended for Veronica. Meanwhile, August goes to the safe room to give food to Veronica. Due to August's strange way of talking and his strange actions, Veronica becomes suspicious and tries to escape. August catches her, mentioning that it's midnight and he can now proceed with his experiment. In a desperate move, Veronica attacks him with a skateboard, manages to escape, but August quickly catches up with her. With no one left to rescue Veronica, she takes decisive action and breaks the ice below the freeze pond, causing August and herself to fall into the water. Even in this situation, August is unwilling to let her go. At this point, Veronica begins to feel hopeless, thinking she might not escape like the other girls. Suddenly, Brian's projection reappears. He intervenes, freeing Veronica from August's grasp. Weakened, Veronica struggles to resurface. Eventually, Brian helps her to climb out of the pit. Meanwhile, Kirk's father's echo dug the grave and saved him, and then Kirk arrives on time and saves Veronica. This is the conclusion of today's story. How was the video? Were you surprised by the story's final twist? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel for more sci-fi content. Thank you.